had a conversation where you're talking to somebody and you say to them, "You're not really listening, are you?" And then they tell you everything you said? It's really annoying. It's possible that on a few occasions I've been the person who doesn't look like they're listening, but is able to answer all the things. But here's the thing I would say. If you don't look like you're listening, if the other person doesn't feel like you're listening, you're not listening. Let me say that again. If the other person doesn't think they've been heard, you haven't been listening. Because listening is about ensuring that the person feels heard. It's not just hearing the words and processing them. It means that they know you think their opinion matters. You think their words matter. You think they matter, and you communicate it through listening. So when it comes to listening, I think there are two things to think about. One is the internal process of listening, and one is the external process of listening. I've written about this in the Definitive Guide to Instructional Coaching and some other places. The internal part is keeping your brain focused on what the person's saying. And the challenge is the person talks slower than your brain. And so your brain could be thinking about, can't believe the Jayhawks lost by 20 points today in the basketball game, or whatever it might be. Your brain could be thinking about yeah, but kinds of things you're going to say. Your brain could be thinking about all kinds of snappy retorts, how you could look smart, good questions you're going to ask, what you're going to have for dinner. Meanwhile, the other person's talking. Internally, what you want to do is resist the temptation to make assumptions about why they're saying what they're saying, resist the temptation to plan their smart thing, ask the question, let them talk, keep your brain with them. And the way I think about it is, when I'm coaching in particular, I want to think with the person. I can't think with the person unless I know what they're saying. And in order to be thinking with them, I have to make sure I'm processing what they say. That's my little mental trick of keeping myself focused on it. The second part, though, is you need to look like you're listening. Now, I think if you really care and you genuinely want to hear the other person, as Sheila Heen says, if you care and you're curious, the rest of it should take care of itself. But nonetheless, if you wanted to say, what's it look like when you're listening? Well, you're not interrupting. Interruption is a power move. When you interrupt, what you do is you take control of the conversation. There's a reason why when you watch news programs, the journalists that are leading those programs, if we can use the term journalist, are interrupting all the time. If you watch an interview program on a news channel, you might see 4 or 5 interruptions per minute. The reason for that is the interviewer is trying to take control of the conversation. Interrupting is a power move. So not interrupting would be one way you do it. You don't complete the person's sentences. You don't tell them the words they're thinking. You turn your body towards them. You make an appropriate amount of eye contact. You don't fidget with your pen. You don't look at your phone. You ask the question. You let them answer. You let them completely answer. Give them a few seconds before you respond. Then you respond. Good listening involves internal components, which is about keeping your brain at the pace of the speaker, and external components, which is about communicating, I see you, I think you're important, I value your responses, and I want to hear what you have to say. And as I said, simplest question is, does the person feel like they've been heard? If they have, you've probably been listening. If they don't, you probably haven't been.